I'm agitated at the moment, so we'll see how these go. I'm going to do several videos tonight probably because I'm in that mood. And at least the first one is probably going to be a rant. We'll see how the other ones go. I'm just in that mood at the moment. And it's something, I think I know a series of videos that I want to do, or a series of things I want to talk about tonight. But we'll just see how this progresses. But tonight I'm not playing the game, so I usually record multiple ones at once, but I do things like change my shirt so it doesn't look like it's the same day. I'm not doing any of that this time. So if you don't like the game, I'm sorry, but the next several videos will probably all have me in the same shirt. But I've run into something that just has me, I'm just sick of this piece of it. So I was on Reddit today, and Reddit's the only social media I do. I know it doesn't seem like that because you might have found me on other social media, but I got people for all of that. I don't really care for the whole social media thing. It's an interesting tool, but there's most of what's there I don't like about it. And even the one that I do, I don't like it either. But one of the things I'm finding in discussion over and over and over again is demonstrated by this. So I made a comment just in fun. So it was a person who had it was literally a picture of a house with a slate roof on it. That's all it was. I mentioned that I knew somebody, I used to have a friend who lived in England who used to give me a bad time because he used to say, oh, we talk about history. I'm obviously very into history. We talk about history, and he'd say, oh, you don't have any history. You don't know what history is. The roof on my house is older than your country. And it was because he had lived in a house in England that had a slate roof on it, and his house had not been re-roofed in 400 years, which is beyond the history of our country if you only count 1776 on, etc. Okay, that's fine. It's just an interesting quote that I made offhanded. Here is one of the responses I got. It, referring to the country, it began with a genocide and continued through slavery, racial segregation, and ongoing systematical racism, the extreme form of capitalism where only a few rich and the rest is in, they don't write worth being, so it's hard to read, is in depression, runs not only on the poor people in America, it also causes pollution, poverty, and wars all over the world, not to mention napalm and Agent Orange in Vietnam and cluster bombs and uranium ammunition in Iraq, Afghanistan. But besides that, and way more, nice history you've got there. Tried a discussion yesterday or the day before, and one of the people in, as soon as America came up, and I don't know where this person's from, but an American popped in and was like, fuck America, it sucks, this country's a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I'm really sick of it. This one's representative of what I get on Reddit all of the time. That one's representative of Americans on Reddit. And I'm really sick of it. What I said to that person is, feel free to pack your shit and go to any country you'd like. It's okay. Head to Mexico, head to Canada, I don't care where you go. Nobody's trying to break into Russia, but go ahead. Feel free. If America sucks so bad, feel free to go. Now, let's be clear. I'm not talking about people who see issues with America. I see plenty of issues with America. I started this whole thing because I see issues with America. But I think I've made it abundantly clear, I love America. You fix things that you care about. If you hate the place, pack your shit and get out. There are plenty, if you would like to create a socialist utopia, head to Venezuela. They would like to have you there. They're trying to do exactly what you want. Go to China, go to Russia, I don't care. It's failed everywhere. We'll talk about that at some point. It's a horrendous, terrible idea. It is almost every place, but basically Venezuela and North Korea are moving away from it. China is moving away from it. China has all kinds of private ownership of business and all those sorts of things. It's couched in communism because they have their government be one of the secret owners of everything, but they are moving away from it. North Korea, Venezuela, Cuba, that's your few places that are actually moving more into that beyond America. It's insane. But if you hate this place, if you hate everything we are and everything we've always been, then you have no fucking credibility to do a thing about it. Pack your shit and get out. I'm all for your freedom to speak, but I don't have to listen to it. I don't have to. You haven't... 99.9% of the people that I hear from the left just talking about what a horrendous shithole we are haven't served it, haven't created a job, haven't accomplished a damn thing. They're either 20-somethings and younger who have done nothing in the world, or they're liberal freaking academics who've done nothing in the world. They sit in freaking ivory towers at a university studying the shit other people do and then act like they actually know something. I taught in a college of business, and 90% of the people in the college of business have never done anything in a business beyond buy shit. They don't know anything about it. I was just blown away with the level of stupidity that I saw there among so many of my colleagues there, and it's because they have no actual real world experience. They are pure academics. They are not business people teaching other people about business. They're liberal academic socialists teaching people about the study of business. There were times when I first got there, they'd make me feel stupid because they used all this terminology and be like, God, the person I worked with closest there, Bill, would hand me an article, and I start reading the article, and there were times where I go, I'm just too stupid to read this. I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not smart enough for this environment. And at some point I'd get around to looking up the terms and realize that half these papers are talking about the most stupid, basic shit every business person knows. They just gave it a big fancy ass name and then act like they're smarter than the people who are actually out doing something. And it is the education academic world that are teaching our young people to hate our country. Our country was not founded with genocide. Okay? Do we have a problem with our treatment of Native Americans in our history? Yes, we do. Do we have experiences within that were genocidal? Yes, we do. But that is not the story of the country. That is a piece of the story of the country. Oh, by the way, find me a country that doesn't have that stuff. Really, that's becoming unacceptable to say. I mean, I was watching a television show the other day, and we were watching it was Aerial America, and they were doing Crossing America. Got my attention because they talked Lewis and Clark at the beginning of it, and in it, one of the things that I pointed out to her as it was being shown was it absolutely was dwelling on the myth of the holy Native American. That Native Americans were these pristine, perfect people who loved the planet and loved each other, and everything was nirvana in their world until the evil white man showed up. Never mind the fact that they were still tribalists. They were still... Everyone was their enemy. Everybody. Many of these tribes, especially central part of the country, these tribes had been at war forever and were going to be at war forever. Lewis and Clark, when they came into the Rocky Mountains area of the country, They were starving to death when they crested over the top of the Rocky Mountains because the Native Americans had wiped out everything to eat. There were no large game left. And the Native Americans hunted large game, and they had wiped the populations down to nothing. Okay? These ideas that things were somehow perfect somewhere, someplace, that this country, you know, there were people out there, most of them not American, not from the American continent, were going to Africa and enslaving black people. Except you never hear the stories of them going out into the African savannah and capturing Africans to sell as slaves. Why? Because he didn't have to do that. Africans were capturing each other and bringing them to be sold as slaves. Africa was a mess of angry tribalism at the same time. There wasn't a nirvana. They didn't come from a nirvana and go to some hellhole. They came from a tough situation into a worse situation. Does that justify slavery? Not at all. Oh, by the way, our country was never all slavery. We had a massive problem with it from the very, very beginning. We wrestled with it to the point where we finally got to the point where we killed 620,000 people to sort that out. Almost all of them white, almost all of them male, almost all of them 40 years of age and younger. Okay? I am not saying we didn't have problems. We have mountains of problems. But the idea that America is entirely a concept that is bad and it was built on horrendousness and hatred of ourselves is where we should be is crap. It's utter garbage and it needs to stop. And it's being pushed on us by one side of the political spectrum, and it's being shoved down the throat of our kids. And it is a giant problem. And I'm sorry, if you hate this country, if you hate what America is, you are not qualified to run it. You're not qualified to change it. Because hatred is not something to build anything on. It's just stuff for tearing something down. And I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick and tired of being told about America by people who hate its guts. If you can't find good things about it, just shut up or go away. I'm giving permission to everybody out there like me to just stop listening to them. We don't have to listen to them. They strong arm their way into power through nefarious means. That's what they do, because at the end, and the big one today is they're saying you don't get to talk about it. They want to control the language. They want to control what's being thought about. They want to control what's being talked about, and they're doing that because they can't win a basic debate of ideas. Hatred is not a winning idea. Hatred for everyone and everything. Racism is not a winning idea. It wasn't a winning idea when it was white people being racist. It isn't going to win when you tell all the minorities of the country it's okay to hate whitey. That isn't going to be okay either. Those are not winning ideas. Tell me why and how you love the country. Tell me what about the country hurts you and makes you want to make it better because you love it, and I'll listen. I don't have to agree. I love talking with people I disagree with. I don't love talking to people who just hate. That's all they bring to the table. And days like today make me want to take Reddit and tell it and just middle finger it and walk away, because mostly when it's discussion of anything that actually matters, I can go on and talk about my car with somebody, no problem. We get along just fine, But when you talk about anything that matters to the country, the hate prevalent there is just shocking. It's just mind-boggling. When did an entire group of people decide that hate was going to be their mode of operation on everything. I don't get it, and I truly believe it won't win.